Hi, everyone. Welcome to the very first one of the year. Welcome back to Carson's Take 5 with Ryan and Sonu. Sonu, 2024. I wouldn't even say good riddance 2023. There were some bad things that happened. But from an investments point of view, let's just do it again. What do you say?
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
No, 2023 was great. Look, stocks gained more. I'll this is Take 5. I'll give you 5 things, right?
Mhm.
Stocks gained more than 25%. The S&P did more than 25%. The unemployment rate is below 4%. It's at 3.7%. That's for about 23 straight months. It's been below 4%. That's the longest
Wow.
streak since the 60s, despite an aggressive Federal Reserve. The economy is on track to have grown more than 2.5%. That's above trend, by the way, above what we saw over the last decade, 2010 to 2019. Inflation's pulled back big time. And last but probably, not the least, definitely, the Federal Reserve, has signaled a pivot to rate cuts in 2024.
Well, those are all some positive things. And let's just think back 12 months, right? 12 months ago right now, what were we hearing? Right? Stock market's in a bear market. The bear market's not over. There was a recession on the horizon. There was a lot of negative things out there. And we didn't ignore those negative things on the Carson investment research team. We just saw that there were some potential positives that were out there. And listen, I love looking at market history. And, once all the bad news is out there, right? There was a lot of bad news. If you get any good news at all, you can have a big rally. And that's what we saw, right? S&P over 25% for the year, like you mentioned there, on a total return basis. NASDAQ up, believe me, even more, up over 40%. It was a big rally. But here's what's interesting. You might say, okay, well, what's going on now? At the time we're recording this, the S&P 500 hasn't made a new high for 2 years. We've gone way up here, way down there, and way up there. So believe me, this has been a wild roller coaster ride, but we're optimistic as we head into 2024 and are in 2024 that there are likely going to be more new highs coming as some of those things you just talked about, Sonu. Now, one thing I want to point out to the listeners here, as we've got about 3 minutes or so to go, when you gain 20% for the year, like we just did on the S&P, the question comes up, well, what could it mean? Could we possibly do better? Should I invest? That's an awfully big rally. The bottom line is about 80% of the time you're higher the next year, and that median return that next year, Sonu, is up about 12% median return. So those aren't like wildly bullish numbers, but I'll tell you, if we come back in a year from now and we're up, there's no recession, inflation comes back, the Fed cuts a little bit, and stocks gain low double-digit returns like we think is probably going to be possible in 2024, that wouldn't be so bad. And it's not a reason to panic and get out just because we had a good year. What do you think?
No, exactly. Look, momentum begets momentum. There's always a fear, I think, that, the market's up a lot, especially over the last 2 months. Yes, small cap stocks are up 12, 14%, right? Just over the last 2 months, November, December. So then the question is there a pull forward effect, right? Does that mean returns going forward will be much worse or negative? But everything you've done, all the work you've done, points to the fact that no, momentum begets momentum. If stocks are up, it's more likely that they continue going up.
Yes, especially if you can avoid a recession. I will point out, it's the Russell 2000. That's small caps. The last 2 months, November, December. Actually, Sonu, they were up 21.9% the past 2 months. And only 3 times in history do we see a better 2-month return from small caps. And when you just look at all the best 2-month returns ever in small caps, looked at the 10 best ever, a year later, Sonu, this is again Russell 2000, so small caps, up almost 27% on average, higher 9 out of 10 times. What I'm going to say again, you probably heard me say it like this before, this blast of strength, this blast of participation with many, many stocks, not just big cap tech or the 7 largest tech names, many stocks have been going up the last 2 months. As this bull market evolves, as this bull market ages, and we think that's where we are. We're in a bull market. We think it's going to age. It's going to continue to probably go higher. More stocks are going to go up. That's a healthy sign. That usually market peaks, you see only a couple groups or a couple sectors going up. One of the big things in 2024, and honestly, in our mid-year outlook that we released, 6 months ago, give or take, we said broadening out, more stocks participating. It took a minute to get there, but we're finally starting to see that. So, Sonu, we've got like a minute or so. What else? What else is on your radar in 2024 that the listeners of Take 5 should know about?
I think just riffing off of what you just mentioned, small cap stocks gaining a lot. I mean, usually we're looking at, okay, what's the economy doing? What's a macroeconomic backdrop? If there's no recession, chances stocks will do well. right? And usually tends to be above average as well. But the fact that small cap stocks have been doing really well recently tells you something about the others, the feedback effect, right? And what investors are saying about the economy in a sense. And they're saying, you know what, maybe things will be good if small cap stocks, which are the most cyclical stocks within the universe of equities, right? If they're doing well, chances are investors think the economy is, poised to do pretty well as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you and I mentioned this before with some of our partners, but small cap industrial stocks, they had a huge year last year. You'd think if the economy is really in trouble, small cap industrials probably wouldn't do so well. So with all of that, we've got a great year last year for investors. We didn't even really get into bonds. Bonds had a huge comeback. Fixed income had a huge comeback as yields went lower. We'll talk next week in the next Take 5 about kind of our overall views and how we see the economy, stocks and bonds playing out. But the bottom line, it was a interesting year for investors, a lot of ups and downs, but honestly, that's why you stay the course and hopefully continue to listen to us. And we've had we've had a pretty good run of things, and we think it's going to likely continue. So with all that, again, welcome to 2024, everyone. We'll see you very, very soon. Thank you.